And so this is where we've had the tease, right? We know Yaz has feelings for the doctor.
Right.
That's been established. It seems like the doctor is kind of returning that, but we haven't gotten like full on confirmation. It's kind of like it's almost like a Martha 10th Doctor situation where you have, Martha's all about the doctor. The doctor's not necessarily returning that. He's probably aware of it, but he's kind of like, all right, I'm not going to go down that path.
Yep.
It seems like that's what we're getting with these two as well, at least up to this point. But the doctor does make a comment like, not a bad date, am I?
Right.
Which is kind of our first indication that the doctor is at least returning a little bit of the kind of, okay, there's a little bit of flirtation in that comment, right? So they're setting the stage, right, for future events.
Yeah. See, the way that the doctor serves the line is the same way that Whittaker has served like every line as the doctor up to this point, right? It's very off the cuff. She makes a statement, and then the realization that plays across the doctor's face at that point, where it was like, oh shoot, I'm now remembering what Dan told me back in the last episode, and that word probably or what I just said probably carries far more than what I intended it to carry.
Interesting.
And then she's like trying to salvage what she just said, but in typical Doctor fashion, she just rolls right past it even further and just goes even further with it, like takes it, basically ignores what she just said, and let's focus on the task at hand. That's what she did.
Which very much frustrates Yaz. Yaz has been trying to get, some sort of emotion back from the doctor. You have to imagine off screen as much as on screen as we've seen it. They've been on all these adventures. They've been doing stuff together. So there's probably some assumption there that this is a frustration that's been going on and on with Yaz. Like, she's like,
yeah,
I'm showing that I have feelings for you. You're not reciprocating, and it's making me feel bad. We all know that, right? We've all been through that. Probably most people have been through that, where you have somebody you like, they're not necessarily giving you the same back, and it's not a great feeling. And is getting ticked off about this, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned Martha, though, because like I've had the same thought, and just a few things that I was looking at over the past couple of days, they mentioned like Yaz going on her like 3-4 year stint with Dan, stuck back in time, and how that did nothing to I don't know, it didn't really contribute any character growth to Yaz during that period of time. Like, she didn't come back from those 3 years, and it got me thinking about Martha. And it's just like what made Martha such a good character in the end is that she was the one that was like, doctor, you're not going to return anything. And she was the one that walked away. And I think what's making Yaz's character a little bit more frustrating is that there's not that same realization that it's like, it's never going to be reciprocated. Like, she's not willing to just walk away. And maybe it's not that she's not a good character. Maybe it just makes the situation even more tragic, right? Like, Martha, you can celebrate because she stands up for herself. She walks away. She makes the decision. She isn't allowing herself to be played by the doctor moving forward. Yes, it's like, oh, like, just walk away. Like, it's not going to be like the doctor has at the end of this episode, and we'll get to it, but the doctor basically says it's not going to happen. It's like, does Yaz continue on? Like, is this going to be Yaz's story that she just never walks away? Or is she just going to be another Martha who finally walks away on her own accord? But
so we'll save it for like the later scene, because I think the later scene's a little bit more, a little bit more involved with this. It gets a little deeper, and I'll save my speculation, I guess, for that. But I will say that this version of the doctor, they're definitely giving a different personality than we've seen when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a lot of kind of real relationships with the doctor. Obviously we saw David Tennant and Rose. That was something that, I mean, the chemistry was there so fast with those two characters that when they kind of did finally have him reveal that he did have feelings for her, it wasn't, it was kind of like, yeah, we all knew that, you just haven't
Yeah.
said it yet. It was very obvious to the viewers, and it wasn't a big shock. And then you have River and Matt Smith's doctor. And so Smith, or Tennant and Smith, both play a version of the doctor who, they're just smooth, they're suave, they're it's, I don't know, they know how to talk
Right.
to a woman, and they know how to kind of have these relationships. Now Smith was a little bit more quirky, but he was still just, you know
Yeah.
his relationship with River just made sense.
Yeah.
But I think with Jodie Whittaker's version of the doctor, she's super awkward when it comes to relationships, and she doesn't know how to deal with this situation right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like she could, for all we know, I mean, maybe we'll find out in the next episode how she really feels, but she could have really deep feelings for Yaz, but she just doesn't know how to express it. And that's what's interesting about, I guess, this version of the doctor is, Yaz is having to deal with this very kind of quirky person who just doesn't know how to express their feelings, and maybe that's why she's not getting that.
Uh,
So
that's interesting. That's interesting that you bring that up, because then you go back and you think through all the different ways that, like, the doctor has tried to feel out every relationship that she's had with all her companions, like team, fam. Like, it's like she is trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I relate to people? Like, is she just the very, very socially awkward doctor? Like, she doesn't know how to relate to other people. She doesn't know what her relationship with other people is. Like, is that going to be her doctor? And if we go back and rewatch episodes now, like, is that the reason for all the fam doctor or
yeah,
fam
even
friends
even Capaldi,
team?
like he, even him, like in his, because he ends up having the romantic stuff with River as well. And in some ways, his stuff
Oh
with
yeah.
River was even more romantic than what Smith got to do with
Yes.
River.
Yep.
And I mean, it just worked. He
Yeah.
was smooth too. Like the way he talked. Now he was kind of put off by the fact that she didn't know who he was, and all of that was fun. But like once they kind of realized who each other were, boom, instant connection. Like he wasn't awkward at all.
Right.
Very confident. But yeah, so Jodie Whittaker's definitely playing it a different way, which I'm sure is, that's what they're scripting.
Right.
But we'll talk, like I said, we'll talk more maybe as we get to that part.